This is part 2 of my Fluval Evo series, and in my last video, my 25-gallon mixed reef cube sprung a leak right before I had to catch a flight to Colorado. So in a hurry, I picked up a Fluval Evo 13.5, set it up, acclimated my coral, and then crossed my fingers as I took off for the weekend. When I got back, everything was dead, because I made a rookie mistake and filled the first 5 gallons with RO water and not the salt that I prepped for the tank. So in this video, I build this tank a new stand and ultimately give this Fluval a rebirth. Welcome back to IC Live. My name's Mark. Before diving into the rebuild of the Fluval, I wanted to take a look at some of the corals that were lost in the last video. And although this tank is extremely dirty, everything was thriving at the time because it was living in the garage. I hadn't cleaned it in a while. So there's the Candy King coral. I've had that for over 20 years. And luckily I still have a ton of frags of it. And kind of shaded there in the right corner is the purple and green frog spawn. I still have several frags of that, so I'm good to go. And on the left is the big green hammerhead, and that one unfortunately is completely gone. I had that piece right there for over 10 years. Last up, there was a bunch of mushrooms in there, and you can see all these nuclear green rhodactis mushrooms. I still have a ton of those, so not a big deal. Ultimately, I didn't have any crazy coral. I mean, this tank has been ultra low maintenance for a long time, and I haven't actually added anything to it in over 10 years. So that was all the coral living, and now here's the aftermath of my mistake. So hard to look at. That's it. Not gonna leave this up here any longer. But this tank is going to come down soon, and I am going to completely rebuild it, and that will be in another video, who knows when. But in the meantime, I need to get some other tanks set up, and that includes the Fluval. So I gotta get that thing cleaned up and ready for some fish and coral.
Moments later.
Alright, so I got everything cleaned up and actually refilled the tank with water. This is actually going to be housing my clownfish pair, Batman and Robin, because I had to take down the 25-gallon and I have nowhere else to put them. The coral is currently sitting in a bin with a light on it, and this will all be temporary while I build this tank a new stand. This is Batman and Robin getting drip acclimated. I've had them for, I want to say, maybe 6-7 years now. They are a great pair, super hardy, love them. Their drip acclimation is complete, so now it's time to go ahead and scoop them up and get them into the tank. Looks like Batman's swimming well. And Robin is next. Super easy. Robin slid right in and went straight to Batman. Alright, it's time to get started on the stand, and as usual, it starts with a drawing. The stand is complete. It's pretty simple. So now it's time to go into Fusion 360 and model it. This was a super simple model. It's just a bunch of rectangle extrusions and some subtraction. Next up, I prepped the tool paths to cut this thing out with the Onefinity CNC. With the tool paths prepped, I'm ready to cut this thing out. First thing I got to do is zero out the Onefinity. Here we go.
Here we go now. Here we go now. Here we go now. Here we go now. now.
Alright, so now I'm installing the hinges, although this ends up being a huge fail because the hinges I bought are supposed to be inset. However, my design was both an inset door along with an overlapping door because I have it set into a pocket that was CNC'd out of the wood. And unfortunately, hinges don't work that way, so oh well, I'll figure something else out. And to help me with that is my little man. Are you ready to help Daddy? Are you ready to help Daddy, buddy?
I got a hammer. I can make it happen. That was loud.
Are you screwing it in? You helping Daddy with the screws? Excellent job, buddy.
Oh, you did it in. Yeah, I can't do it. I can do this.
Alright, so this was by far the best part of the build. My little guy just followed me around with his little hammer and screwdriver and helped me with the assembly. So at this point I realized the hinges had no chance of working, so I gave up, and it's time to go ahead and glue everything together.
Two hours later.
Wood filler. With the sanding complete, I decided to stain everything with a very subtle antique white. So here's where I make my second big mistake. I use this marine varnish to seal everything up, and it actually turns the cabinet yellow and completely removes that very subtle white antique stain that I have on it. So this was a giant waste of time. I first tried sanding off the varnish, which was not working whatsoever, so I had to go ahead and think of another way, and then I got a little visitor. Hey, Mr. B, how you doing?
Well, I've been better. I've been tricked. I saw your shiny cabinet and I thought it was going to be a yummy flower, but it wasn't. And my queen bee is extremely demanding, so if I do not bring food back, she will hurt me. She will hurt me very much. So, can you please get me off of this stinky cabinet and help assist me to find some new flowers?
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. I'll just
Thank
flip you off with a little bit of sandpaper right
yes,
here.
Please, the
There you go.
sandpaper, very good. Oh yeah, here we go. Whee!
What I ended up using was paint thinner and a scraper, and this actually worked decently, but it took forever, really sucked, and I will not be using yellow varnish again.
One eternity later.
With all the varnish removed, I had to go ahead and restain the white because it was a little bit destroyed, so that's what I'm doing again. Alright, the final feature before I can get this tank set back up, I'm going to use this foam. I'm going to secure it to the top of the stand, and this is actually what the tank is going to sit on. I'm going to use this Flex Seal to secure the foam, to the stand. So I had to do a little chisel cleanup here to make the base of the Fluval fit into the pocket. I'm taking down the Fluval for the third time to hopefully put it up for the last time, and Batman and Robin, they got put into the coral bin. And now we have a perfect fit. With the stand up and the tank ready, I got to go ahead and prep the sand. So I actually have this sand that's been sitting in a bucket for 2 years in my backyard, and it is some pretty nasty stuff. Oh yeah, just as expected. This stuff is gross. Get this camera in here and take a look at it. Ooh, little like bacteria blooms, some holes, who knows what that's from. Yeah, look at that. Well, regardless of how nasty it is, it should clean up pretty well. Alright, so now I just rinse and dump, rinse and dump, rinse and dump. Yeah, look at that nasty. With the sand in the tank, now it's time to get the Aquascape ready. So I've actually had this rock for well over 15 years. Got a bunch of little sponges on it and some random mushrooms. Now I'm going to make something really cool out of this. I'm going to try something different. And I am not going to show the whole process in this video, but I will in the next. What I actually do is I 3D scan the rock, and then I design something to be printed to hold the rock. So kind of combining 3D printing and live rock to make a unique looking aquascape. So here is the finished aquascape with the 3D printed base. This process was super cool and I cannot wait to show you in the next video. I add just a little bit of turbo start because this rock is already well established. It shouldn't need much. And that's basically it for the setup. I did a little bit more kind of cord management and put a few other things on the tank, but here is the end result. Overall, I'm happy with it. I like the color of the stand. I like the off-white, kind of antique white. I totally failed on the door. The Aquascape turned out fantastic. However, I did kind of jam a little bit too much rock into this tank. In the next video, I'm going to show you the process on how I made that 3D printed base for the rock. Also, I designed some media baskets for the rear chambers, so I will be making a video about those as well. So if you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you live in the next video.